crap. Oh, shit. You okay? Fuck. Hello there.
Hello.
Today, on the eBay Civic, we're going to do drilled and slotted rotors, performance brake pads, steel braided brake lines, and a new wheel reveal. We're also going to paint the front calipers, and I will reveal kind of the color scheme I'm going for on this sick-ass hot rod. And yeah, you're gonna be along for the ride. Alright, so, steel braided brake lines for all four corners. That's because the brakes in this are really, really squishy, and I don't know if that's because there's a leak, I haven't seen one, or if it's just because they suck. Then also, I got the Detroit Axle drilled and slotted rotors and performance brake pads that came with them. They are for this car and some of the older Civics as well. Not much meat left on these boys. They were squeaking on me pretty bad. So, we're going to remove those and then get around to painting the caliper. I'm going to clean these up a little bit because they're pretty rusty. The caliper pieces, this is one, the other one's on the ground over there. I'm just going to get some of the dust off and then we will paint them. I'm using brake cleaner to brake clean this shit. Now I'm gonna let it dry a little bit, and then I'm gonna give it a once over with the old steel brush on the drill. And then after that, I think it's time to paint. But in the meantime, let's see if we can't get that first brake line on. Something worth noting, always use a line wrench when you deal with small, like, brake line nuts. Because if you don't and you round them, you're never getting them off. So always use a line wrench. Got her in there. Also kind of dented my thing, but that's metal, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, now we just gotta wait till we paint the caliper so we can put this B word on and get her going. Got it cleaned up, at least in all the spots I wanted to spray paint. It's got some rust damage. Hopefully this will stunt some of that. We were going to use caliper paint, but they didn't have caliper paint in yellow, which is the color that I want. And so we chose the engine enamel with ceramic because it holds up to the same amount of degrees. And I don't know, I don't see them being very different. We're gonna have to spray this a couple times. Check it out. On Hondas, for no reason at all, they use Phillips screws to hold their rotors on in case the lug nuts don't do a good enough job. Because if your wheel flies off, you really don't want your rotor to fly off. It's all cut up and grooved, and I think it's warped. Well, maximum stopping power. I want to see how long it takes these to crack.
So this is currently stunting our progress. They are not drying very quickly, so we just put it in front of the heater and we're just gonna leave it there for a while and come back when it's done.
They took way more coats than I thought. I think a lot of it has to do with how rough the surface is due to rust. But in the meantime, we're going to put on these two pieces, which I spray painted just 1 or 2 coats with black spray paint, just so it contrasts the yellow nicely. One other thing that I want to mention, the kit that I bought. I will show it on screen right now. This is meant for Civics, probably only SIs as far as I know, that have rear calipers and rotors as well. The rear drum brakes do not function on this type of brake line, so the rears are just gonna have to stay the same, which kind of sucks because I wanted the steel back there as well, but I think having them on the front will at least help with the squishiness of the brakes, and they'll look kind of cool. So whatever, just if you do want to do a full conversion of steel braided brake lines, look for a different one if you have rear drum brakes, because these ain't it.
So we got the part of the caliper that holds the pads and the pads in and all ready to go on both sides, and now we are just waiting on those bitches to dry so we can finish this shit.
I'm literally watching paint dry, it's sick.
Alright, so we're over it. Perfection is not the way of the eBay Civic. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it now. They're mostly dry. There's a couple poor spots, but it's not that big of a deal. So right now, Simon's just compressing them, and then we're gonna get them installed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Got one side on. Waiting for the other one to dry. Then we're gonna put it on, and then we're going to bleed the brakes. Yeah, they didn't look as bad as I was expecting just because all the problem spots are gonna be like behind the wheel. I paid extra attention to this, you can tell because there's a, oh actually I can take that drip off.
Well, don't do that.
Well.
Because now you created another fucking smudge spot, bro. You ruined it.
Watch this. Ready?
Are you gonna, oh my god. This man's.
Boom. Looks better than it did.
Actually, yeah, that actually worked really well.
So, I got all four corners of the car bled using my Pneumatic brake system bleeder. Really good tool, available at Harbor Freight. Get yourself one. It saves you a lot of trouble of pumping the brakes and then spitting it out looking for air. Obviously, whenever you bleed the brakes of a car after a procedure like this, start at the corner of the car farthest from the reservoir. That would be passenger side rear, and then driver side rear, and then passenger side front, and then driver side front. And that's what I did. So now we're going to look for leaks. Hopefully there aren't any. And after that, we're gonna make sure the brakes work. And then we're going to put the new wheels on. Yeah, that feels so much better. Like boom, right there. And it's not, it doesn't feel like I can continue to push it all the way down. It feels like it's stopping there and my foot will have to break something in order to get it to keep going. It's way firmer. Feels so good. Okay, so before we show you the wheels, I want to explain something that I had to do in order to avoid buying like $100 worth of lug nuts from Les Schwab. So these were originally Acorn lug nuts. They had like a washer around here that was plastic, I think, and then a cap on it. I had to cut them all off because the aftermarket wheels that I bought from eBay for like 300 bucks free shipping. Really good deal. If you want to avoid buying the aftermarket lug nuts, you just take a Sawzall to those caps and then take a little pair of wire cutters to the washer. And you'll end up with a lug nut that will allow you to put the caps on to your aftermarket wheels. These wheels and all the other sets of wheels I found that I wanted to buy for this car, I looked up the year of the car and then just aftermarket wheels on eBay. I did not look up the lug pattern or the size, just the car. Because if I ever looked up the lug pattern or the size, I got a bunch of weird stuff that wasn't for the car, wouldn't fit, whatever, and a bunch of it was way too expensive. But if you just look up 02 Honda Civic aftermarket wheels, I got like 3 results that were all within 300 bucks and they all would have looked great. So, with that being said, let's reveal the wheels. Sheesh, look at that. That actually looks pretty sick. Most of the shit paint is hidden, and the part that I really paid attention to, which I knew would be the part showing, looks all right. We'll see how it holds up over time, but with the rotors and the painted calipers and the brake lines, the way they feel, and the way these wheels look, they do have caps go over the top. That's what I was talking about with the lug nuts. They just kind of look like that. Looks all right. Better than the exposed lug nuts. The total for all of this was definitely under 500 bucks, which is pretty good. So, that being said, thank you for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like it. And if you want to see the future of the Civic build, obviously subscribe because we upload every Friday. Not always the Civic, but we do upload stuff on Noah's Celica. And we also do some go-kart content because we got those things. If you look back in our older videos, you will find some videos of us just tearing up the back alleys. And by that I mean the farmlands on some off-road go-karts. So yeah, thanks for watching and peace.